So I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Q&A. I'm Kat. I'm the social media specialist at Vagaro. And today I am speaking with Stevie Lynn Pilates. So Stevie is going to talk to us about how she's been using Livestream to offer virtual classes for her business. And I hope that this Q&A that we're going to do today will inspire you on how to offer Livestream for your business as well. And towards the end of the Q&A, we're going to do a little tutorial with Stevie, and she will also answer any questions that you may have about Livestream. So thank you again for joining us, Stevie. How are you today?
Fantastic. So I'm coming from San Diego. I have the clear skies, the blue is outside, and as soon as this is done, I'm going to be out there in the sun with my munchkins and swim a little bit. So I've had a really good, productive day. Feel great.
Can you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Okay. So Stevie Lynn Pilates was created with the motivation of strengthening posture and also having people live pain-free. So when we start to get into what I mean by posture is the way that we carry our body, some of the things we do, maybe we carry a heavy bag or a baby, and all of a sudden our body starts to just do things and live in a space that it thinks is comfortable, but is actually a bunch of malalignments. So with Stevie Lynn Pilates, my foundation is Pilates, but I teach a couple of brands of fitness, just mostly for people to be able to realign, reset, feel like they're living in something that's comfortable for them, very strong, and no one should be waking up with aches and pains. So that's really my methodology and where I come from on that, so that people can live larger, more adventurous lives.
Your inspiration to start offering live stream classes was kind of was a result of the pandemic, right? And
Absolutely.
I wanted to know a little bit about how the closures and the pandemic has affected you and your business and how it's changed your business.
So I set up completely motivated to do one-on-ones and really get nitty and gritty with people. When shelter in place took over, I went ahead and said, respectfully, I'm closed too. My family deserves my care and attention to not have people funneling in and out of our space. And then I need to do that favor to my community. So we immediately went into shelter in place respectively as well. And then I started to really create a little bit more of, well, this is what I have as far as my skill set. What can I do with it? So at one point, you know, I created a video that was for the cell phone sloucher. Everybody who's putting all that work into their neck and their back and just not feeling right. And so again, those corrective movements. So that's pre-recorded and I have that. But what I knew that people needed was community, like really the sense of being someplace at some time with other people struggling and moaning next to you and feeling the work, you know? But there's a sense of like group accomplishment in that. And so I started to tap into taking my business into that zone. Again, I saw I have time, I have a skill set to offer, and now I need to reinvent that. So I wanted to stay productive and motivated and keep the people that I've worked with motivated, and maybe even be able to reach out to some people who I haven't been able to access, but I'm certainly sure I can help.
Nice, thank you. And how has that been for your customers? How are they, what's their feedback like for you so far?
The simple sentence is, this is exactly what I needed. So surprisingly, my conversations with customers who I've known for a while is there's people who really have this drive for a constant fitness, like a predictable routine. And then when all of a sudden your alarm clock just doesn't matter anymore, you know, you plan, I'm going to do something and just don't do it. The idea of signing up for a class, being there at that time, again, getting my little smile in the camera, just saying, hi, how are you? And then my energy and motivation and stuff. That's what people needed as far as familiarity. And so, yes, this is exactly what I needed.
That's awesome. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about how did you decide which classes and services to offer for Livestream?
To be honest, I am fueled by movement. It's passion for me. And I know that there are days when I just feel a little achy and I want to just move. There are days that I want to try something new, something a little bit more flowy, a little bit more playful. And then there's days that I just want to kick booty, get down, get sweaty, So I did choose my schedule to respect my own body, because one of the things that instructors are all of a sudden very surprised with is when you teach a class, you got to take a class. You're in front of the camera and you're moving, you're motivating the whole time. So my schedule allows for those different brands of fitness through the day. I've got one booty kicker, something like TRX or boot camp. I've got something more like a flow. I do a Pi Yo class. And then also Pilates, intermediate, as well as basic Pilates for just people needing to move. So again, I don't do 3 boot camp classes in one day because you'd be seeing a slug by the end of the day. But I certainly have felt motivated to keep up my own pace and my own inspiration element to other people. And so I hope that that's coming through the camera. I've heard good things about it. Sometimes I am just wiped out after that class, melted like butter, and go, okay, that was good for me. Hope it was great for them.
Yeah, and I guess your classes, they don't really require any extra equipment to have at home. These are things that you can just do while you're at home by yourself.
So there's 2 parts to that. I have designed the classes so that it is approachable for people who don't have any equipment. I have not wanted anyone to have an excuse or a reason to hold back and say, I just don't have the stuff. But the other part of that is people are investing in their own locations. If you look for a lot of fitness equipment things right now, it's going to be a little bit to order, at least on traditional ways, because people are building out their homes. Again, your body is where you live. Your home, your space should be something you're creating. And so to pick up a set of hand weights, to pick up a resistance band and start to build out your own little space for the brand of fitness you're looking for, I think is totally approachable for people, because I'm getting to know the people who are checking in with me regularly. I always have kind of a fallback for, if you don't have this, you can use this, or nothing at all, and you're going to be fine. But I know that people are building out their spaces. So if I do want to feature the Pilates ring or a set of hand weights, a lot of people have invested in that to create just those little touches to be able to take what we're doing here together a little bit further. But again, nothing astronomical, just that little sense of you're going to get a little something different if you incorporate this problem.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And can you talk a little bit about the process of planning a virtual class? Like, do you have to test your equipment, or do you practice before going live?
So for me, I base what I plan on postural alignments. We talked about that. And so I have a lot of physical therapy knowledge and background. So the movements that we're going to do for the general mass is going to be rotator cuffs, hips, core, things that people tend to neglect. And so when I plan my classes, it's super well-rounded to where we're going to get a full body workout, and we're going to hit some of those nitty-gritty zones and get really deep. These are the muscles that hold you into your skeleton, so you get a sense of feeling very secure afterward. So with Pilates as my principal foundation, we move the spine in every direction. We work those deep little muscles that need our focus. Everything is generated from the core. And what we also use is something called a flow method, to where you're never resting, you're always moving. But if I know I've just exhausted one muscle group, we're going to go ahead and go to this muscle group, so that you can go ahead and get a sense of, thank goodness, at least we're not doing legs anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's generally how I plan my classes.
Yeah. So it sounds like you always have like some sort of idea when you go into these classes, but then it's really kind of like customized for whoever's in that class at that time. And you kind of look at them and say like, okay, this is where I see what you're doing, and this is how I like to work with you to improve it.
And on the other side of it, for you instructors out there, I have like a little whiteboard that I write my set on the whole time. And so it's like my own personal cue card, and it just sits off of camera. Because when I write a set, I sit like the night before and I create that beautiful love story. And I want to make sure I remember it. So I put it on a little whiteboard before every class. I wipe it and put down my notes. And so I'm not going to just wing it. I'm going to have that to reference, and I'm going to make sure we get all of those great movements in.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm doing right now. I have like a list of questions for you. I have like a really good idea of what I want to ask you, but I also need these questions just so we have all the value we can get out of this live stream.
Sounds great.
Totally understand where you're coming from. Can you tell us a little bit about like how your first live stream went? Like, what did you learn from that?
I was just amped up and so excited to be teaching again. I know that people are listening from all kinds of areas of business, and what you do, hopefully, is something that really fills you up. It satisfies you. You're passionate about it. I have a job where I always leave from work feeling way more rebuilt, way more energized than when I went in. So I was just so excited. Like, I wanted to make sure that I had placed my camera to where the lighting was good, people could hear me. I did invest in additional equipment. So if this is something you're planning on doing, YouTube is a great resource for getting hints about Zoom and how to go ahead and change your settings so that you can feature music. You can still be well heard. So look into those avenues and make sure that you are giving the people who have invested in you the very best of you. My first session I ever had, I had people who were old friends from an old neighborhood, a little bit out of distance for them to be able to come take classes. I had people who missed me from the studio. I had family. And so it was just a lot of people coming together. My very first class had quite a large group. And so it was a great launching point to motivate me. A lot of people who mentioned, I've missed your classes, and, being pretty darn happy with the results of being able to take that amount of time and put in the effort and get a bonding result, like rebonding with yourself, as well as, having your instructor, a familiar face, kind of be able to get that
Yeah.
smile and energy coming from you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. And kind of moving now, since we are talking about equipment and stuff like that,
Yeah.
what essential tools do you recommend to provide a successful live stream?
So I'll go ahead and I have my little thingy here. So I've redone my
Yeah, give us a
ceiling
look.
recently. I have good lighting up there. That's kind of important, and I have it so that it's backlit and I can kind of position those according to where I'm going to be in the class. You can tell I have a bunch of space here. So I try to do my best to position the camera high as well as back far enough. I had like this sweet spot before. We're trying to find it again. And so you really want to make sure that you're set up. Tips from me that I've just gone through is an external microphone to where it's catching my voice, and then I have the music behind the camera.
Okay.
If you have used Zoom and you haven't gone into your settings and made sure to program that with the ability to capture the music, if that's something you want to feature, you need to educate yourself on that, because otherwise it eliminates background noise and it makes you blip, 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 and it won't hear the music, and maybe it'll cut out your own
Nice.
voice.
Nice. So I love your space right now, and the
Oh,
light
thank
on you
you.
is gorgeous. So do you have like any extra type of lights beyond the ceiling, or do you try to plan your classes around a specific time of day just to get that nice glow and you can see all the details that are
I've
going
got a
on?
big window right here. Actually, this whole wall is windows. I live in a spot called Dictionary Hill, and so it's view, view, view. I keep the windows open for the most part, and then if it is a vibey class where I want to go into yoga and like turn the lights down, there is a dimmer switch I can use. But I'm fortunate for a nice space. I did price out extra lighting to be, propped up in spotlight. As you can tell, I'm not a techie, but I've been learning. And I haven't had to invest in that yet. I also have my 14-year-old daughter who is all about her iPhone. And if there's something I don't know, she knows it. And so she's helped me with some recordings and things. And she has taken great care in like finding angles and communicating. And I'm just telling you, I just happened to have the best corn team that there was available at the
Oh,
time.
so cute.
So I just counted on those resources. And you said something about the space just looking good. I've put my heart
Yeah.
into it. It's where I live. On a side note, with just being in your home, the little tweaks and the little touches to make it really comfortable, I think have benefited my family. I have that 14-year-old, but I also have an 11-year-old, and they're doing school from home, and they found different little nooks to fit into and relax. And that for me helps me feel very like I'm providing what they need during this time. If there are issues that come up with them missing out or being uncomfortable, we have the ability to do that. But anyway, just in general, creating a little space in your home can
Yeah.
benefit you pretty greatly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you've done in the background as well. Like, I feel like I'm in the mentality to work out when I see what you have back there. I see that you have some weights, and is that like a yoga mat? And
I've got my mat out right now. This originally was a beverage station for people who come into the studio. I have tea, I have infused
ooh,
water. I have everything
fancy.
in there you need for foam rolling and preparing your body for a great workout. The space was originally designed for physically people coming into it. And then it just happened to be provided and available to where I'm like, this is absolutely perfect. I would say think about your backdrop, think about inspiring people, think about the fact that you're putting something out there. So you can only do your best with what you have. I would encourage fitness instructors not to have that stand in the way of what they're doing. Do your best, get started, and then go ahead and start to fine tweak. Okay. It's just one of those things. Your customers are going to be thinking the same thing. I'm just not ready to start working out again. And what does that mean? You know, just do your best, just move, just push yourself a bit, and start to explore being just a little uncomfortable, and it'll come to you.
Absolutely. Earlier, you were talking about music, and music plays a huge part when you're working out or getting motivated. How did you figure out what was like the right volume to have your audio so it doesn't really disrupt what you're trying to teach with your customers?
The microphone I bought is pretty good. It's external. It hooks up to the computer, and there's a couple of different settings to where you can gather tones from one direction all the way around, or two directions. And so I have mine in two directions. It captures me and it captures the music. I've just played with that, and I've never had a problem with it as soon as I got that external mic and adjusted my settings. I can't repeat that enough. You really have to go in there and do that. I pumped the music up. I pumped the music up to the point that it's like almost too much, but I love working out that way. If I'm on a run or something like that, and I have just the right song coming on, I will forget about how hard it is, how sweaty it is, how hot it is, and how tired I feel. I will just push it through that song. So I definitely utilize music as a tool. If you're that instructor, then please do that. That's part of your image. If it's not important to you, if you've created a different image, then that's completely fine. I wouldn't have anybody fit into a mold that doesn't express what they're going for. So again, it was just at the beginning going, I'm just going to go for it with the music. I'm going to check in to make sure people can hear me. And then again, you can peek over at your screen if you're using a computer to cast, and you can see if everybody's moving with you, you know, and if you're really tuned in there, you can see if you can just tweak a couple of people and give them the extra credit of rooting them on for doing great things, and then just giving them that little touch to make them feel it just a little bit extra.
Awesome. So it sounds like it's kind of been like a trial and error sort of process. Do you go back and review your streams to see like, oh, these are the areas where I can work on, or do you also collect feedback from your customers to like improve your live streams?
Yes. So I have never sat and watched a full stream because, as I mentioned, I do my best. This is what I've empowered myself to do. This is what I believe in. I've gotten feedback from people. I do record each of my sessions because you never know what's going to happen as far as tech issues. Somebody who just is overwhelmed with this new thing and then they're frustrated they missed class. You don't want to do that to them. You want to be able to send them that class that they had every intention of being there for. So I do record my classes. And so with that, I can also send to people who are looking for the class that it just wasn't at the right time for them. I have that all set up to where the music is incorporated and it's just as if they were here. But again, I haven't watched it from front to finish. Front to finish? Okay, we'll just go with that.
Yeah, that works.
Because I'm not critical of myself. You know, I'm a just genuine person, and I believe in my skill set and education. I certainly understand bodies in a pretty intense way, to where not only am I doing this on myself, but I know the tendencies of where people will tend to maybe error or cheat, or where they really need to feel it, and those little tweaks that'll help. So I have let that stand on its own. I've had personal conversations. I am also going to be incorporating the survey that Vagaro supplies to be able to get feedback on how those are going. And so I'm looking forward to, again, strengthening myself in this techie universe and really trying to do my best with the tool that I've invested in and has supplied for me. So
awesome. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit about how are you communicating with your customers about your live streams? Like, are you utilizing social media to announce it, or what are some of your recommendations to promote your virtual classes?
So I was given the advice to talk about it more than you think they need to hear about it. Like, just really let people know and exhaust them. My biggest piece of advice is I want to make it clickable. I want to make it a one-step process for people to be able to find exactly where they need to be. So I am still at the beginning of what I'm creating here. And so I do not have the followers that I need on Instagram to be able to do the swipe up option. That'll change things. That'll be fantastic when that
Yeah,
happens. But
absolutely.
until then, tagging myself. So it's just a quick click to the link in the bio. If you do not have a link tree, that's something that'll be a really good piece of just easy click, kind of navigating for your people. The other
Yeah.
thing is Vagaro integrates into your Instagram. And so as soon as you edit your contact information, you can put a button that literally says book here. And so basically you have to get them to that profile. You have to be finding different ways to motivate people, letting them know what your schedule is, letting them know when you'll be live on Vagaro. Then just kind of re-beating into what you're supplying, what you're hearing. I'm showing time lapses of myself doing the classes. I am sharing the feedback that I have from others. So Instagram is huge for me. It's just kind of my favorite. And then I also have a Facebook page. I communicate with my leads and contacts through, it's 10,000 followers. I see your comment there.
Yes,
10,000 is what you
10,000
need.
followers.
So I'll reach out through text, I'll reach out through phone calls, and I'll reach out through email. Part of what I love to do is love and take care of people. And so the personal connection is not a problem for me. I know that I'm appreciated when somebody thinks of me and just sends me a quick message. So continuing up those relationships are definitely something that I believe in.
So when you got started with live stream, what was the most surprising aspect for you about doing this?
To be honest, how easy it was. I was so happy because it was literally one afternoon where I just went, why am I not teaching group classes? I have this space and I have this integrated tool. So the advertisements that Vagaro was saying, hey, guess what? We have this option, allowed me to do Zoom. And I started with doing private sessions over Zoom. And that was still me working out, but it was mostly me getting into the camera and fine tuning people, giving them that one-on-one, understanding what issues we're currently working on and zoning in on that stuff. But then I realized, I can do this as something that people probably really need right now. Again, the community aspect vibe, the basic equipment kind of deal, being in a place, getting your workout done, check, good to go. But with Vagaro, all I had to do was create that integration between Zoom and Vagaro, and then it will automatically send through email and text a message to your customer so that they hit a button that says, go to live stream. And they'll do that. I'm always on 10 minutes before my classes start, and that way I can chit chat, banter, and then also check in on anybody who might have an injury they need to tell me about, or if anybody's having tech issues. I want to be available for that. So
Nice.
within that amount of time, they're there, they're ready for class, and we're good to go.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
how is what were you able to expand your customer base from this? I'm sure you've had a lot of clients that you've had before the pandemic had happened and before you started the live stream, but did you see more customers come through because you started offering virtual services and classes?
I have worked in a couple of different locations in San Diego as a Pilates instructor. My entire Pilates career has been based in San Diego, but I'm seeing somebody who lives in Orange County. So I've been able to have those people who have wanted to, support me. They've seen what I do. They're interested in. I'm now accessible. I also have, of course,
Awesome.
family who live out of state. I have people who have moved from San Diego who know my classes, who miss that feeling, be able to participate. And then as easily as it is shareable, you've got to follow her. She's great. You got to take a class with me. That's how it spreads. Is really the key is to be able to get other people talking about you rather than you just parroting all of that yourself. And so the more that you can go ahead and encourage those relationships and make it very easy to share and communicate, I think that you'll find a lot more success. And yeah, it is totally a reach. We haven't gone over this yet, but I'm planning on keeping my live classes even after this is done.
Awesome.
There may be some adjustment there. There may be some time slot changes or how many I'm offering depending on what's going on. But truly, it's very flexible for however you want to shape your schedule. Right now, my schedule goes from Tuesday all the way through Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday are my weekend. And so those are the times that people expect to take class. And I just think that there will be a need and a want for people to have efficiency of time, to be working through the comfort of their own home. And then, there are some people who are going to be very cautious about stepping back into a large fitness
Right.
setting. Well, who was here last and how well did they clean? What did they
Yeah.
touch? And you just want to take care of your family, but at the same time, you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. Like even when, all of these shelter in place restrictions are lifted, there is going to be definitely like a group of people who will be uncertain about coming back into a space or sharing space with other people. So having live stream, even after all of these restrictions are lifted, will give them a sense of peace. And I mean, you don't want them to stop working out, and they probably don't either. So that's a really good option for them.
And even if it's something you integrate partly into your week, I mentioned the fact that people are investing in their space, getting the little pieces of equipment that make them feel like their workouts are productive.
Yeah.
Um, I assume not all of that's going to Goodwill after this is done. And so, if you just have one of those days where, as a single mom, my mind is spinning and I'm like, how am I going to take care of everyone that I need to, as well as myself? Okay, if I don't have to drive a car, if I don't have to change out of my sweatpants, I can be there on that mat at that time and I can get this done. And then I'm a better creature right after that for being productive for the other people in my life.
Yeah, and this actually this reminds me of something, but with Vagaro, the Zoom integration also allows you to do like in-person classes, and it also allows you to do live stream at the same time. So if, life happens, and say you can't meet your instructor in person and you have to go home for whatever reason, you can still join the class like from work, from home, or wherever you are.
Yeah. One of the things I've always believed in for what I do is I think that my specific brand of fitness is also to be the caregiver to the caregivers. So it really could be something to where you're overwhelmed with taking care of either someone who's very young, you got infants and you're not able to go out as much, or someone who's much older who's living with you, or someone who's disabled or even temporarily sick. And if your body gets to the point where you can't provide for them, if you can't physically lift, move, and help, then you have now put yourself in a disservice as well as the person that you need to invest in. So the time that you give to yourself, I can't stress how much that is so important for mentally and for physically, that replenishment to make you absolutely the best potential for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So now that we're on this topic of like self-care and stuff, you have a little tutorial that you would like to share with everybody. Would you like to show us like what your tutorial is?
Sure. So, one of the misconceptions about posture is when your mother yells at you and says, sit up straight, and you go, oh God. And then all of a
So that's
sudden, all
me.
you can see here is my neck, my shoulders, and all of this rigidity. And so when I've coined the word posture, used it over and over and over again while we've been speaking, it's really supposed to be natural, relaxed, and something you can feel your body settle into. So if most of everybody's at home sitting, then you can consider your base, your pelvis, or if you are standing, then of course your base would be your feet. But what I feel in my body is that I kind of shift forward and back. Maybe I move my hips from side to side. My feet I've planted on the floor instead of the crisscross position I was just in. So you feel settled into your hips. And then what you want to
Yeah.
do is you want to be able to create a structure from that point up. So you'll settle your ribs kind of over that centering zone, maybe finding a little point of gravity. In my classes, I shift and wiggle a lot to find my sweet spot. And then you'll open up your shoulders and roll them back, and then they settle. Not
Oh yeah.
squeeze, not rigidity.
Ooh.
They just kind of float down your back, and your scapula is meant to like rest comfortably against your rib cage. When that happens, you're now no longer rounded like most of us are when we're with kiddos and on computers and on cell phones. We're feeling a little bit more open and at ease. You might actually find these muscles to be pretty tight.
Yeah, a little bit.
Balancing
Yeah, I
your
can feel
head
it.
over your shoulders should feel comfortable, and so you're like distributed through your weight. And the last little thing that I like to add to people, center of your chest, imagine there's a string that just lifts like by an inch. And so when you go ahead and just elevate and open your chest, not only are you physically just more attractive when you settle into that posture, but again, we're not squeezing, we're not clenching, we're
Mhm.
not holding anything tight. We're finding our body to be a familiar, comfortable place to live, and then checking in with that a few times during the day and just going, okay, that feels really great. Kind of coming into that moment of letting your brain start to memorize that pattern. And that's where we go ahead and find those different little muscles to start to strengthen so that your shoulders stay back, or your core. Make sure to pin your ribs down so you're not feeling that pressure in your low back. So I would love to have you guys take a fantastic, I'm so happy about shoulder relief. It's a big deal, and we're constantly putting pressure on our body. And so to find a natural, comfortable space to live and exist is kind of a beautiful moment. And I know that Vagaro also has a lot of beauty techs and salon workers, and I'm telling you, you guys need this so much because you're always rounded and, you know, touching people and helping people.
Absolutely.
And this is a way to restructure and make sure that at the end of the day, you're still feeling some stamina and strength.
Awesome. Thank you. I feel like there's a little bit of effort that I have to do in order to sit straight. Like, do you have any recommendations for that? Like, is it just something that I have to practice over time, or?
Well, I mean, think about how your spine needs length. And so maybe floating through the top of your head and then slightly engaging into your core. Like, it's hard to really figure out, is my core on? So I'll actually place my hands on my core. My fingertips are making connection with my ribs and hips. And I'll do a cough or a laugh and like push outward. Everyone thinks that engaging your belly means you suck up and in. And again, do you see what happened here is I'm just like sucking and holding? You actually engage and push, and you can feel a little bit more like you're driving all of those little muscles that are holding. When your core is strong, your back is protected. So those are the things that you need to do. But yeah, just find that moment of resettling, relaxing, breathing. How often of the day do we actually remember to breathe? It's just automatic. And then just move on. You know, it took probably 30 seconds to wiggle a little and breathe in and out. And then you can go ahead and take that moment back of going, okay, what's next? What am I ready for?
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for giving this tutorial. And
thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for your time and for answering our little Q&A session. It was such a joy to have you here, and it's obviously great to see you again. We spoke a little bit earlier this week, and you were so fun and so great. And this is kind of like our first IG Live with a business that's with Vagaro. So you have been excellent, and thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I hope that it helps and encourages a lot of you guys who have maybe felt a little downtrodden or without purpose, and that's no way to live. So just think about the skill set you have, what you do have available, maybe reinvent yourself a little bit. And if you're not in a regular fitness routine, please go ahead and check in with yourself. It'll make you better, more productive for everything else that's waiting in your day.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you to everybody who was able to join our little Q&A with Stevie Lynn Pilates. If you have any questions about Vagaro and its live stream integration capabilities, you can reach us at sales.vagaro.com. We have a little chat section that you can speak to a rep, and you can also contact us by phone. If you are interested in the classes that Stevie has to offer, or you would like to know more about what she does, please give her a follow on Instagram. Is there anything you would like to share with the audience?
I think mostly we've gone over it, but if anybody wants to go ahead and get a free class with me, I do have a deal running on Vagaro for this week only. So that means Friday and Saturday, if you get one of those classes. Last week was National Pilates Day, and so you can go ahead and drop in, visit me. I'm a very approachable person, so if you guys want any extra little insights behind what's going on behind the camera, absolutely reach out. And then otherwise, just get something going that's predictable, reliable, set your focus for success.
Awesome. Thank you again, Stevie, and thank you to our viewers for joining in. I will see you all later, and I'll speak to you later, Stevie.
Thank you, Kat. I really appreciate it.